Okay, now we're going to talk about how to create kind of a pine tree down here in this open area with the 1/2" flat brush, the bright brush. What we're going to do down here is we're going to create a pretty simplistic pine tree. This can be pure black on a background. This can have greenery in it. It can be really any color that you want. I've seen a lot of really pretty oranges and yellows put into these trees. It's kind of just a basic kind of piney tree that you would want to put into a painting. I'm going to use pure black to begin with so you get the gist of how to do this. And then I'll add a couple green tones on top just to give you an idea of what that would look like with color in it. So the first thing you're going to do is get the 1/2" brush. You're going to get some regular black paint on the brush. We're going to first do the trunk. We're going to do it in one single stroke, and then we will work on the branches as a separate technique. So the first thing we're going to do is come at the canvas at a 90-degree angle. We're going to have full pressure at the base of the tree. We're going to come up to the top of the tree, but as we move up, we're going to twist the brush slowly in our fingers. So we're going from flat to point, from horizontal to vertical as we move up the brush stroke. We're going to get a good amount of paint and try to do this in one brush stroke. So I'm going to press down at the base. I'm going to pull up, and as I get about 1/3 of the way up, I'm going to start twisting my brush and turning my brush until it becomes vertical. And then I'm going to slowly move away from the canvas, the pressure of my bristles. I'm going to move away as I come to a point. This is going to act as our trunk. So when you want to move on to putting this really kind of simplistic pine look to the tree, you can actually keep the same brush and the same black paint. Sometimes you're not going to want a black base to these, to the leafy, piney, needly area, but a lot of times it's a good call. So let's say we're going to do that. We're going to have this base trunk. We're going to go back to the same brush. You're going to want to make sure, if you look at this brush, you're going to want to make sure it's nice and chiseled. You see how it's got some paint on it, but it's pretty straight and flat? You're going to need that as we go through onto this next stage. So make sure, if yours is not chiseled like this, I want you to take a napkin and I want you to squeeze that brush out as best you can and try to get it to a nice chiseled flat stage. It's going to be really good for this technique. So remember, once it's nice and flat, go ahead and get some black paint. And the first thing I do when I start these trees is I come to the very tippy top of the trunk. I take the very corner of my brush, the sharp corner, and I use it to make a little tiny mark, like a little dot. Kind of looks like a funny little period at the tip of this point. It's a little bit above the tip actually, with a little opening in between it. This is just helping me mark where the top of my tree is. Okay. Because when we move down this tree, you're going to use this brush. You're going to start by using the very tip of it, the very corner. And then as you move down, you're going to start turning the brush so that more and more of the bristles are touching. So you start with just the corner, and then as you get to about towards the middle of the tree, you're using all the bristles at the same time to press. So I'm starting with the corner, and I'm just going to start touching. I'm just touching the canvas to leave kind of long little sort of ovally shapes. And I'm letting them breathe. And what I mean by that is every time I touch the canvas, they're not overwhelming each other. There's some of the background coming through. In this case, it's white, but it could be any color, blue, whatever your background color is. So as I'm moving down the trunk, as I'm getting closer to the middle, my brush is moving from this, as I'm touching, to more almost straight on, right? It's not all the way to 90 degree yet. It's still about a 45, but I'm using the edge piece. So as I come down, I'm turning more and more to be about a perfect 90 degree angle. And I'm also using this brush to let it be kind of, you see how it's starting to get nice and fuzzy? That's good too, to get a little bit of fuzz going on. I'm coming straight down, and my limbs are getting wider. Now, one thing you want to avoid is a really, really hard triangular shape. You want it to be pretty triangular, but if you can see, I'm leaving some open spots here. I'm letting it breathe so that it's not a super, super strong triangle shape. Because you want it to be a little bit more realistic than just a triangle. So as you come to the bottom, I usually leave about a 1/2 inch or so of opening. You could leave more. Some pine trees have a lot of open trunk on the bottom of them. It's kind of up to you. But this is essentially the base of this design. Now again, you can have it just in black. It sort of depends on your background. But what we'll do is we'll give this black a 5-minute drying time. Once that 5 minutes is up, we will come back to this piece and I'll put some green on top, some green and whites and yellows, and show you what that would look like with some color over top of the black background. Okay, now that we have given our pine tree, the black background of the pine tree, about 5 minutes to dry, we're going to clean out our small flat brush and we are going to add some color to this. So you can really do this a couple different ways. It just depends on how you want your painting to look. Some people really enjoy blue tones, green tones, some like red and orange. I mean, it's really kind of anything you'd like to do. I would try to either stay with the warm colors or the cool colors. So if you want a tree with red in it, you're probably also not going to do a bunch of blue, right, or green. It's mostly going to be like red, oranges, yellows, browns. If you're going to do a green tree like I'm about to do, I'm just going to add a little bit of fun to it. It's really simple. Again, it's really kind of more a simplistic way of doing a tree like this. So I'm going to grab this brush. I'm going to get 3 tones of color on it, kind of similar to how we did the rose. I'm going to get phthalo green, which is a dark green, on one corner of the brush. I'm going to get green oxide, which is a bright kind of leaf green in the middle. And then I'm going to get some white on the other corner of the brush. So it's a 3-tone brush. I am filling it with 3 colors. And I'm going to decide where is my light source. So let's say I think my light source is coming from right here. Like if there was a sun or something right here and it was shining down, or maybe a moon, it was shining down on this tree. So that means I'm going to take my brush with the light end. The light end of the brush is going to be pointed towards the light source. So the light source is here. The light part of my brush is on this side. Light source, light part of the brush, right? So let's imagine it's here. I'm going to start at the top again. I'm going to take my brush and I'm essentially going to be doing the same technique, except I'm really concentrating on the left-hand side of the tree, and I'm letting the right-hand side of the tree stay black or shaded. After you've gotten a portion of it done, of course, you're going to notice your brush is running out of paint. So you can grab more paint, doing the 3 colors, stacking it with the 3 colors, dark, medium, dark green, medium green, and light. The white is toward the light source, which is right here, and I'm just laying some color in. You might like the lighter green a little bit more. You might like the darker green, the foresty kind of phthalo green color. You do not have to paint right on top of the black. You can let some of that black show through. You can paint in other areas that you wanted to fill up with color. It's really kind of a free technique in that way. But you're looking for somewhat of a triangular shape. You are looking for not total coverage. You do want some of that black to show through, especially on this side that doesn't have the light source coming down on it. It's a really fun technique. I really like this. I think you'll have fun with it. So I'm just putting some more green in, and just take a few seconds, put some color in, sit back, take a look at it, see if you need to add a little bit here and there. You don't really need to rush this technique at all. And that gives you a fun kind of pine tree look to it. Make sure you definitely do get some white in there. Even if you do the green on its own, as a secondary step after the green, do white. And that will really help it show where your light source is and help pop parts of the trees. Otherwise, it's going to all kind of blend in together and not look as exciting.